What's up, tubers? Unfortunately, I broke my hand. So that's probably going to affect content. But in this video, we're going to do a wiring harness on this race car. I'm lucky that I am pretty close to the finish line here, or I would be in real trouble. So, the Shoemaker brothers are going to come over. We're going to get this wiring harness in, get some graphics on the car. Andy, as most of you know, is the one who does the harnesses for the Cobalt crew. And then Brian, his brother, is actually our graphics guy. He owns Shoei Graphics. So they'll both be here. We'll go over the wiring harness. I'll show you Andy making the harness because, of course, he didn't have it pre-made. So he's going to basically make it right here for us. And we'll get her in the car. Brian's going to put graphics on, but you're not going to get to see that in this episode. I mean, you might catch bits and pieces as he's doing it in the background, but we aren't going to actually show that part. So when you see this video, something just fell off the car. Well, that's cool. The one after this will be the reveal probably of the graphics package delivery reaction when the owner comes and picks it up. If he picks it up next weekend, then the video after this will be the reveal. If not, then I'm gonna have to find something else to do, which could be tough considering I have a broken hand. So comment on this video, let me know, what you guys want to do. Maybe I can, I don't know, is there YouTube live? I'll have to look. Maybe I can answer some questions or tell you about my racing career or something. I don't know what to do for content because my hand is broken. Maybe with my left hand I can take apart this 4.8 and get it cleaned up and painted. I can show you that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be capable of doing here. So unfortunately, content might be a little weak for a month while I heal. No, it doesn't hurt. It hurt when I did it. Now it's just annoying. It feels like I got this big bulky glove on my hand and I can't fit my hand anywhere to do anything. It's really a pain in the butt. But. You guys stay in good spirits, right? So, wiring harness. In this episode, we're going to cover the wiring harness. What Andy's harness looks like, how it comes to you with labels and stuff on it, and how to hook it up. It's pretty simple. Not plug and play exactly. He does offer the harness with the switch panel and everything. It's a little bit more money, but he does offer it that way, or you can just get the harness by itself and hook it up yourself. We're going to kind of go through that a little bit in this episode. Hopefully at the end of the episode, this thing runs. Hopefully. I hope it should run at the end of this episode with the wiring harness and everything in it. We have everything to make it run. So that's what we're doing. The first half of the video, Andy forgets some stuff. I'm actually taping this after the first session of wiring, so he does forget the fuses, so we're going to wait, and then he's actually coming back tomorrow with the fuses, and then we will finish up, and it'll run. It's going to run. Positive thoughts. It's going to run, and everything's going to be A-okay. The gauges are going to work. It's going to be awesome, right? Yes, that's what we're doing. All right, so let's do this thing. Y'all want to build your own wiring harnesses? Looks like fun, don't it? Look at this mess. But simplified. See what he's got going on here. Yeah, he's working through it, building it as we go here instead of having it built before he got here because I'm a pain in the butt. And I left out the best part. This is going to be the last video for a while because my dumbass broke my hand. So unfortunately, after you see this video, there's probably going to be like a 1 month lull. Unless I decide to post iRacing videos, if I can even use my steering wheel with these things. Lobster claw. But yeah, this is the mess that Andy makes when he makes these things for you guys. But when he gets a little bit further, we get loom on it and it looks pretty. We will go over how to put this thing in the car to make it easier for y'all. All right, so at this point, we've got the harness in the car. And as you can see, it's very clean and neat. It comes with all the wire loom and everything on it. Everything's routed and plugged in. Should be self-explanatory. Should be. So it comes around here nice and clean. runs up. Everything's clean. We put our fuse boxes and ECMs in the old wiper tunnel. So that's where that is. You can see I notched it there, and there's a piece of rubber to protect it from the sharp metal. That goes in there. Unfortunately, we don't have fuses, so we won't be able to start the car today, but we can show you how far we are in the wiring until we get the rest of the parts to make it run. So that's that. Everything's run through. We poked a hole there, ran that through the firewall. Some of it goes down through the other hole down there. Something does. Nothing does. The throttle pedal goes down through that hole down there. All right, and I showed you the gauges, other stuff over here that goes through that. And the tack wire will actually go through there too, through that other hole over there. Andy's got the switch panel in his hand. When you order a harness from Andy, you have the option of ordering it with the switch panel, which is one of these quick car switch panels, just like I use. That thing. And then up here, we've got the other wires that go to everything. So you've got, this is the power wire from the gauge, the quick car gauge cluster. This power wire is just spliced into the tack and the power steering, because we use the Equinox power steering controller. So that goes to the power for that, and to the gauges, and to the tack, and way down in there you can kind of see we got 3 wires from the tack all going together. That's your power, memory, and illumination are all coming up through this one accessory wire here. Then over here, when Andy sends you a harness, everything's labeled. There's your fuel pump wire. That's the starter button. That one is ignition. What are these?
That's your main. That's going to go to your big kill switch.
This is the main for the big kill switch, and it goes to the fuse box, right?
Yes, that's the fuse box power.
Fuse box power. So then also on the main, you're going to have the battery cable coming from the back, which is right here. We haven't put an end on it yet. We got to cut it to length and put an end on it. And then from your main up to your distributor will be another big wire like that. And then a small wire from your distributor to your starter. Pretty self-explanatory. Not really self-explanatory, but what's going to this switch panel, Andy?
All right, so when they come, they will come with a plug like this on the end.
Yep.
You have 2 options. You can cut the plug off, splice it in to the originals. Or what I am going to do is I put all of my own ends on. You can see them here. I'm going to take the screws off. Take that one. Okay. So this is obviously the starter button.
Okay.
I'm going to take the one that says starter and put it on there.
Yeah, screwdriver.
Yeah, over here. Okay. So now we have 2 of these. This is going to be your power in that does not hook to your starter. So your power in is going to be on the opposite side of your starter button hookup.
Are you not using that wire, or is that one going over to the kill?
This one here is, I'm just going to discard this because I have another one with the end on it. This one will say ignition off. Or, sorry, this one's ignition on. This one's ignition on. It's going to hook up there. This one hooks to your fuse box power, and it gives your switch panel power is all it does. I'll get my fingers to work. All right. And that leaves one more. That's it for the switch panel, which would be your power out.
So that's all your accessories and everything?
That's all the accessories. That'll be your gauge illumination. That'll be your power steering. Switch on is all it is. And it's also going to be your ignition. It'll say ignition off on everybody else's.
Yeah, and when it's not mine, when it's yours, it'll say ignition off. We didn't put an end on this one yet. So we're going to show you this part with the switch panel, and then when I get the fittings and stuff for the battery cable and I make the wire to run up to the alternator and the small one that goes over to the starter, I'll show you that stuff too. But it's getting kind of late. We've been at it for almost 12 hours today. So when you see what the price of a harness is and you're like, oh my God, you have to understand how long it takes to build a harness. It's not an easy process. It takes quite a while to do. There's a lot involved. I don't even try to do it, put it that way. I have Andy do it.
Well, I
So-
had about 2 hours into it when I showed up here, and we
Yeah.
had about 4 hours and more into it, building it.
Yeah, so coming from the back, your fuel pump area, there will be a gray wire for power and then a black wire for ground. We have those pulled up, but we don't have them hooked in yet. So we're going to have to hook in the power for the, I believe that's marked, isn't it? The fuel one?
Yep, it's right here.
Yeah,
It comes off of that same group of
Yeah.
red wires. It'll be marked
Yeah.
fuel. That is the fuel pump power. It'll go to the big gray wire in the back, and
Yeah,
then the
so-
big black wire in the back will just get
Yeah,
grounded.
it's over there. We'll have to hook that red wire to the gray wire. Like, I don't really need to show you that. I just told you. You hook that red one marked fuel to the gray wire, and then there's going to be a few grounds. Like your gauge cluster doesn't have a ground, but the TAC has a ground, and the power steering control. Sorry, I'm burping. The power steering controller has a ground. We'll wire those all together to one ringlet and put it on one of the studs under the dash there with a nut, and ground all the grounds together. So as complicated as it looks, with Andy labeling everything, it's not super complicated. It's just kind of a matter of where on the switch panel you want to hook everything so that it works properly, because you want the car to shut off when you shut the switch off. And if you don't have, let's say, the fuel wire hooked up properly, it won't shut off. If the fuel pump keeps running, the car will keep running. So it's not crazy complicated when Andy labels it for you, when he sends it to you. So, but I can see how people get confused. There's a lot going on.
The other thing was shutting the car off. This one will go on one side, right here. Your one from the battery and the starter will go on this side.
Battery and alternator, right?
Battery,
Well,
yeah,
alternator
battery,
and starter.
yep.
So your
Will go on
battery
this
from
side.
the back is going to come to here. Your big cable, well, not necessarily, if your battery's in the front, doesn't matter. The one from the battery is going to go on here. And then from here will also be another one that goes to your alternator and starter, all on this same post,
The opposite side is the fuse box.
and your computer.
Yep, that's all
So
right here.
that all comes from this side. So the car's not going to start or do anything unless you turn this power on. So your accessories, everything's coming off this post except for the alternator and the starter.
Yep.
But you can run one wire to the alternator and then a smaller wire from the alternator over to the starter. You don't have to run two big wires from here all the way up front. And I'll show you that when we actually get to that, which won't be today. So I got to make those wires. We haven't gotten that far here. So this is what it looks like after Andy gets all the wires hooked to it. Now everything's kind of there. It's
So you got your
good.
starter button. Starter button's over here. This comes on the switch panel. This is the power in from your fuse box, which will be ignition on. It'll be marked. This one's power to everything else. That'll be marked ignition off.
And then you've got your accessories, right?
Yep, accessories go in the ignition off part, along with where the starter goes.
Yep. So, not super complicated, but, easy to get confused with wiring, at least for me. So if it's easy for me to get confused with wiring, I can see how you guys get confused with wiring. Andy understands it, but there's something wrong with him, so that's not abnormal. Let me come over here so you can see. The TAC wiring all comes under here, goes through there. And then down here, we have the red, white, and blue hooked together. That's your power, like I said, for your memory, your illumination, and the actual power for the TAC. And then also with the TAC, there is it was purple, right?
Yes,
There's a ground right here, but then there's a purple, and that purple has to go through the firewall and hook to one of your coils. And then once this is all powered up, you'll set this to one cylinder, and that's how it reads. This is the Jegs TAC. I don't know what you guys can buy any TAC you want, but it's easiest to find one that does one cylinder, and the Jegs one does. We've used it before. It works good. So that's that. Andy's pretty much set over there, other than we can't, this is the fuel wire he's dropping down through. Other than we don't have fuses and I don't have the battery cables. So this is as far as we can get today, and I will video again when we get the rest of the wiring run. We got a few more things to hook up, but it's getting kind of late, so catch you on the flip side. Okay, so at this point, we've got those wires on the switch like we talked about. You've got your accessories and everything on this side over here going to your fuse box and whatnot. Coming back to the switch panel that we talked about for the push button start and everything. This green and yellow one down here goes up to the front to the alternator. That black one goes to the back to the battery. So this green and yellow one comes up here and turns into this nice red-black loom and goes over to the alternator, which you can't quite see down there. And then there's a small wire that goes across from the alternator to the starter. So at this point, everything's plugged in. Everything's hooked up. We gotta hook up the battery and hook up the computer. That's not hooked up yet. And then we can press the button and hopefully she starts. So we'll do that in a minute here. Okay, I just hooked the battery up. Andy just plugged the computer in. Let's see what happens here. Main power. Look at that. Should I set the tach before we start?
Yes.
I got oil pressure light on. I gotta get the directions out and set the tach. So I'll come back to the video here in a second. All right, I just set the tach. I'm not going through that. You guys have your own directions, your own tach. So everything's lit up. We're gonna press the button and see if this bad boy starts. You know what? Oh, there's the fuel pump now.
Yeah, I got to prime it a couple times.
Give her a second here. Come on, baby. You got good oil pressure. Nice airflow. She's running, but she ain't running very good. Got a bad coil wire. There's a nice idle. Is that what it is, a coil wire? Alright, so she took a second, but now she's idling pretty good. Give me that red handle there, like you missed the throttle pedal. Okay, sure, the throttle. I can't reach the throttle with my broken ass hand. Let's see if we got throttle response. Tach's working. You don't sound great. All kinds of oil pressure. Alright, she runs. I'm gonna shut it off. Alright, I'm gonna try to talk loud enough so you can hear over the car, but before, when we first started it up, it ran a little bit rough as the fuel system came in. You gotta remember, everything was empty from the tank all the way to the front. So fuel had to come all the way from the back, through the filter, through the line, through the brand new injectors. And then once everything's settled in, now she sits here and idles and purrs like a kitten, no problem. I'm actually letting her run right now to get up the temperature. You can see she's almost to 180 there, so the thermostat should be opening here in a second. But I'm just running her through her paces here, letting her idle, making sure everything's A-OK. And right now she looks pretty good. Oil pressure's good. One thing to remember on an Ecotec, you probably can't see it around the steering wheel there. As they get warmer, the oil pressure drops off. When I pull off the racetrack at the end of the night, usually if I get stuck getting off the track and everybody's kind of backed up and I gotta come to a stop, it'll actually drop low enough for the oil pressure light to start flickering and flashing at me. So I gotta, you know, if you're sitting still after a race and she's warm, you kind of gotta pedal it a little bit to keep that oil pressure up. So it's not uncommon with an Ecotec, don't worry, but sorry. When you're running, it's fine. It's just when you try to get off the track and you slow way down to almost a stop, you know, you'll hit the clutch and come to a stop and the oil pressure will drop right off down to like 20. You know, it'll fall right on its face when it's hot. Not uncommon for an Ecotec. You just gotta give her a little pedal, keep that oil pressure up while you're sitting still until you get to your pit spot and shut it off. You know, same kind of goes for if you're, you know, trying to get on the scale. You gotta pedal it a little bit, keep that oil pressure up. and get her over the scales at the end of the race there. But not uncommon. So yeah, she's on, she's running. Everything's A-OK. Just sitting here purring like a kitten. I just got done putting hood pins in. So yeah. Fantastic. What's up, YouTube fam? So at the end of that video, the car's running good. Everything's fantastic. She runs like a champ. The car is officially done, and the owner is coming to pick it up this weekend. I'm not going to show you what it looks like. We'll do a reveal video when he shows up, a little reaction and everything, and I'll show you what the car looks like. And I got to be honest, I outdid myself. Brian Shoemaker and Shoey Graphics, we knocked it out of the park. This thing is gorgeous. I can't wait to show you guys. It's ridiculous. I have to repaint my car, and now I don't know what I'm going to do with my car. So, it's amazing. So he's coming to get it this weekend. Now for the bad news. Andy's a little busy with a career change, so the lead time on harnesses is probably going to be a little bit extended. But if you need something quick, I'm going to suggest you probably hit up Brad Belt over at Brad Chandler over at Brad Built Parts. See if he's got stuff for now. We'll try to help you if we can. As usual, we're usually pretty good about helping you guys out. Check the Cobalt Crew page for updates on that kind of stuff. You know, good luck to Andy. He's trying to become a cop, so hopefully everything works out there. He's just a little busy right now, but we'll try to get to you guys as quickly as we can. Other than that, I got a new cast. Purple, my daughter's favorite color, also the color my race car used to be. So, yeah, keep it creative and happy building. Catch up with you guys later.